Hi, this is author-philosopher Ronald E. Springer of EthicsUnderground.com here to continue the reading of Moral Armor, Chapter 8, Part 11, Self as a Standard of Evil. Please hit like and subscribe before we dive in. Fear-driven man avoids all possible actions of self, as the self is the medium through which all his pain is received and perceived. The self implicitly becomes his standard of evil. The risks of life and death are most felt through his reliance on others, and the self versus others becomes his gauge of well-being. If others are pleased with him, he feels safe. At odds with life when alone, he sides with the others and gauges the quality of his life by the success of his placation. Never trusting himself to begin with, all attributes of self, in his projection of morality, are to be mistrusted, while all actions of any outside force is to be acknowledged as wholesome and superior. Just look at the general negativity publicly encountered by mentioning any self-serving intention. Showing enough concern to keep oneself alive is considered hedonistic selfishness, while the pursuit of happiness is practically equated with slaughter. Isn't it clear? The spirit murderers consider life without sacrifice to be a warpath, while blood sacrifice is considered honorable. Their intention is to remove true morality from life, and morality in practice becomes the pursuit of evil, something a human being cannot bear. Their morality is inverted. They do not see that a proper, thriving society is built on the sound function of each individual in that society, and that necessitates adherence to the proper standard that life requires, existence itself, and our awareness of it. Sound civilization stair-steps from sound coherence to sound individual to productive groups of mature individuals. Still, self-hatred drives the spirit murderer to wipe out the individual. To cover their cowardice, they must destroy the possibility and moral value of individualism. They pretend that any action of the self is vulgar, improper, destructive, and at the extreme of their own capacity to deceive, to be insane. This brings us to a philosophical rule. If men preach selflessness, selves will be destroyed. If they preach unconditional love, the conditions will be deplorable. There is no sacrifice in the world of the self-made, no blood drawn for others, and no selflessness. In ours, the self as consciousness is all, to be nourished, fulfilled, and exalted. It is the entity which makes all further societal values possible, but not by its sacrifice, only through its fortification. Self-esteem becomes a much more sensitive issue for those intent on faking it. We shouldn't be too surprised that a fear-driven man would consider his own actions of consciousness to be unnatural when not involuntary. His esteem is anemic. He can never afford to be wrong. He cannot admit to his patterns being anything but perfect and outside of question. Esteem being an inescapable necessity of life, its lack tortures him throughout his everyday, and he grabs onto every twist of truth possible to cover it up. Concurrently, self-made man pays attention when esteem is ailing and works to remedy the causes to get himself back on track. Locked in angst against any attempt at its honest means, fear-driven man puts himself in a constant struggle to suppress what his emotions are telling him. That one layer under his unwillingness to see is a feeling of naked terror. This terror comes from the self. The feeling isn't good, so he blames the self and in impotence looks no further. It's the self that nags him day in and day out for values. It is the self that constantly wants and needs these things: food, water, warmth, love, stimulation, luxury, with no automatic means offered to achieve them. He hates the self because it doesn't relieve the axiomatic need of esteem for free and never gives him a moment's rest. A source of nothing but agony, his only answer to the constant nagging of the self is to kill it. He intends to convince himself and others that his inaction is a virtue. His God snaps his fingers for values, so created in his image, effort is out of the question. He chooses to have faith because it's so much easier than thinking. Wishing becomes the good. Working becomes the evil. Where to deny life to self is considered moral. Self-denial, he calls it. It is so simple. He damns what he never intended to pursue in the first place. That's all for now. Next up is emotions as instinct. I split these videos up by subject so you'd have a better chance of finding moral armor, and then perhaps go through the whole thing for free. Why? To help create a leader in every life. Sound civilization stair-steps up from sound coherence to sound individual to productive groups of mature individuals. Self-hatred drives fear-driven people in our world to wipe out the individual, so we all need moral armor to protect ourselves and the future of mankind. Click subscribe and leave a thumbs up if you'd like to help wipe out moral confusion fast and make the world a better place.